Yo, 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 LOLeros. This episode of Latinos Out Loud is brought to you by McDonald's, proudly serving communities since 1965.
Wow, and if you're a listener of our show, you know that we absolutely love McDonald's.
Love McDonald's, Jamie, love.
Yeah, look, McDonald's was like my fast food crush when I was in grade school, okay?
Oh, cute.
Yeah, I used to scribble like I Heart McDonald's on my notebooks. Yeah, it was a little weird. But look, we love McDonald's for plenty of reasons, right? You know, because like the Big Mac can cure even the grumpiest of moods. When I'm in a bad mood, I'm not gonna lie, I have a Big Mac, all of a sudden, I have a big mood shift. It's like I'm rewarding myself after a long day, and I deserve it.
You do deserve it, Jamie, and I see you. Big Mac equals big mood shift. I see you.
Yeah, we're making breakthroughs today. But today, look, we want to talk about another huge reason why we all love McDonald's. It's because when we're there, the crew members truly make us feel like we're right at home and part of their McDonald's community.
They sure do. Jamie, can I share a quick McDonald's story?
I was hoping you would.
Oh, thanks. I love the anticipation. So, I'm a mom out there in the streets, and we be rolling up in the McDonald's of Spanish Harlem, and I have to give a big shout out to Stephanie, because little man be paying for McDonald's, and, we like to bypass the kiosk, because the kiosk is a little impersonal, and I want them to learn the manners, waiting for food, paying for stuff. So she always loves it when they roll up to the counter and they pay, because, they're looking for somebody eye level, but then she looks down and sees my little people paying for their own Happy Meals, and it's a really cute and endearing moment, and it's also educational. So shout out to everybody in Spaha McDonald's, you know what I'm saying, Jamie?
And look, whether you have that one crew member who always remembers that you like your Big Mac with an extra pickle, or the crew member who always greets you in the drive-thru with a warm smile, or, Anna Stephanie who hooks up you and your kids like Rachel has. We just want to thank you, McDonald's crew members everywhere, for making our McDonald's visits even more special.
Gracias. McDonald's, I'm loving it. It's the Latinos Out Loud podcast. So I is right. I could not agree more with that. But you just I felt that. I felt it.
Yeah.
This is what this is, yo. Yo, what's up? It's the Latinos Out Loud podcast, yo. Yo,
Right.
Everybody good out there? Are you good? You're about to get even gooder. What's up? It's your friend till the end, okay? And that's not in sight. So, hi, Rachel La Loca.
Right.
Hi.
What's up? This is your pal for a while, Jay Ferns.
That works.
I had to get Southern with that.
That
For a
works.
while, a pal for a while.
Add the layer of accent and you can go anywhere. You know what I mean? It's amazing. It's really
What's
amazing.
up, y'all? It's Frank Spiracy up on the heights. You know what I mean?
Jay Ferns and Frank Nibs.
Up
My
in the heights,
brethren.
baby.
Up in the heights,
Up in the heights.
where
You know how
cab
we do.
drivers hate to drive to. When
The
you're
heights.
Yo,
when you're
why?
in Midtown. No, like when you're in Midtown or downtown, they just hate when you're Washington Heights.
Yeah.
All the way up there. Oh, come on, man. I'm like, the Uber already agreed to it. So
Oh, you dangled the car transportation carrot in front of them. That is mean.
well, because I never knew that it's like Uber, they don't know the destination until you get in or something.
Come on.
Yo, that's mad shady. Yo, that's
And
mad
so
shady.
it's
You know,
like
come on.
a lot of Ubers they're when they see it's like a surprise. And when it pops up, you're downtown, it's like it pops up all the way uptown. They're pissed.
Let's talk
Dang.
about that surprise factor real quick. First of all, I don't think it's right. I really don't think it's right. Frank, as an Uber, as a representative of the Uber franchise, what was that surprise like? Did you like that? Did you hate it? Maybe some liked the game. I don't know. When you were surprised with the where you were going.
Yeah,
You
Frank,
talking
can you tell us, did you have to experience that where you didn't know the destination until the passenger was in the car?
Right. You know, like 5 to 10 minutes later, usually. You
What?
kind of
Oh,
you kind of know. You don't
so
get to know right away. Like when you go in, like you have to
but
take that passenger.
you're kind of forced to bring them to that place. You can't just be
Right.
like, oh nah, I don't want to go up, I don't want to go
Right.
to Brooklyn, or I don't want to go uptown. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, you could cancel it and tell the customer, you know, that you don't want it, but you can get in trouble. You can always get reported. So
Yeah, and they don't want to get stars off. Like a regular cab don't give a shit because they're just like, peace out, you know.
right.
But an Uber that stays on your personal record.
Your
Yeah,
Uber
I'm missing the
record.
cabs,
Yeah.
man. Because the cabs at least would, you know, take you up. You could run out the cab if you didn't have money. Like now with the Uber, they know who you are. Like
No,
this
the
sucks,
cabs will
man.
throw you out. I remember getting thrown out when I'm like, yo,
They're
uptown ahead.
aggressive.
They're like,
Yeah.
no, get out now. This is
You're right.
you crazy?
Yeah.
I have other, you know, I have to make money tonight. I can't just spend the whole night on you.
Oh man, the taxis, the back of taxis, the back of vehicles, really, but really taxis here.
Yeah.
What goes on? The
Oh,
phone conversations. Frank,
mm,
haven't you heard people talking on the phone and getting
of
into some
course.
really deep? Okay, what was the deepest conversation you ever heard that you like? Shut the radio, shut the windows. I need to hear every
I
word.
mean, I used to hear people fucking coming out the side pieces house, going back to their, you know, to their wives or their
Ooh.
husband's house. Like I saw it all. I heard it all. Yeah.
And you heard
Wow.
their
Everything.
excuses. What kind of excuses did they give?
Everything. Yo, I'll be right. You know, yo, my phone turned off, or my phone was
Mm,
off.
mm,
You know how it is. You
mm.
know, I learned a lot of stuff too, a lot of good lies. I learned a lot of good shit. Yeah.
My ex showed up and threw my phone out the window
Yep.
and all of
Yep.
that
Keep on going.
stuff.
Keep on going. Yep.
Yo, I'm sorry, baby, I'm late. I don't know. Like, you
You
keep
see all
on
the
going.
dirty
I'm not the
shit.
one saying this stuff. I'm just saying what I've heard or what I've heard has been said. Speaking of ride homes, guys, let
Hmm.
me tell you something about Uber versus Lyft. So, you know,
Uh-oh.
I recently went out to Utah. Okay.
Right.
Shout out to Utah. This was
Oh
the
Mm.
shit.
second time I went out there. And
Right.
first time was for season 1 of the Tuttle Twins. Second time, same thing, more celebrations, the wrap of season 1 and the premiere of season 2. So it was a very exciting thing to go back to the same multiplex theater. I want to shout out a couple of things. Okay, Uber versus Lyft. I
Hmm.
couldn't believe the fare, not like the zones out there in Utah. Salt Lake City was like, and forgive me if I get the two wrong, but like Salt Lake City by the airport, major Uber hub or Lyft. I don't know, one or the other. But it was like Uber and Lyft owned certain regions because I saw when I did my price comparison, like I often do in New York,
Mm.
one was exorbitantly higher and like
Mm.
70 minutes away. I'm like,
Wow.
wait a second.
70. Whoa.
Damn.
That's an exaggeration, but at least like 35 versus the other one, which was like 2 to 7 minutes. So I'm like,
Damn.
whoa, ¿qué es lo que está pasando aquí? It's so weird. They might have this Uber Lyft war out there. I'm
Yeah,
not
always
sure
is.
what's
Always
going
is.
on. Okay, I got to shout a couple things out. Jamie Fernandez, I thought of you so much. I went to a comedy club called Dry Bar. Have you heard of Dry Bar?
Dry bar.
No.
I want to say it's like season 11 or 12 or something that's now streaming on Peacock. Check it out. It's
Oh.
a live comedy show from a dry bar, meaning no cursing, no profanity,
Damn.
completely stand-up comedians with completely what they call dry comedy. And it was hysterical. I
What?
cannot believe how much fun I had at this place.
Wow.
I
It's like
wanted to go last time, but I didn't have a chance. What'd you say, Frank?
my Mormon comics or something.
Yeah, I mean, there was Jesus talk. There was, but like
Oh.
no cursing, no sex, no like
Scientology, maybe? Scientology comedians?
no. I mean, I don't know. I didn't really
Just
hear a lot of
family
that.
friendly. Is there
Yeah.
were there kids?
Yeah.
Were there kids in the comedy
No
club?
kids because
Oh
it was
shit.
cerebral. It was definitely a relationship. You know, there was a lot of relationship talk, but like funny, dry
So like
bar.
Very Seinfeld, right? Because Seinfeld's a PG comedian, you know, and I still think he's
Yeah.
funny. So I can see like a
Oh,
PG comedian being fine as long as
there
the
was
jokes are funny.
There was one comedian, he was like 50 something years old, white guy beatboxing his comedy. It was
Oh,
amazing.
shit.
He was so good. He was like ranting about how he's got 25 years in the beatboxing game. Yo, he's nasty. And
Damn.
everybody was like this. Yo, he was the close. Check out Dry Bar. Now, I want to shout out Dry Bar also because I went there to see the production because you know something is streaming on Peacock. And I'm like, wow, I want to see what that looks like behind the scenes. It was so intimate. but so many amazing positioned cameras. The whole, if the seat was empty, they had to take the seat out for TV production value. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
The stage was small but amazing, kind of like the Triad Theater. It
Oh.
was small but impactful, did what it had to do, double curtains, open, close, sesame, comic comes out, lit up, comic looks great on stage. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Audience laughter. It was just like, it was a great experience. Now, the other thing I want to say about this, I'm so excited to say, is it's a small world after all, people. Go ahead and sing
Mm.
the song in your head. It's a
It's a
small world
small world
after all.
after
Oh my
all.
God, it's a small world. So I'm online. I already bought my ticket, and I see Angel Studios and the Tuttle Twins on the window of the comedy club. I'm like,
Ooh.
what in the tarnation? I'm like, so it turns out that the video production company behind the Tuttle Twins is behind the Dry Bar. And so
Oh,
they
Oh.
have a piece of that. No wonder. Like,
What
okay.
a
no wonder.
coincidence.
The
They all
Harmon.
over the Utah like
Yes.
entertainment community, right?
Yes,
Then
the
Wow.
clean entertainment, because Tuttle Twins is also very kid friendly. It's for kids, but it's, I think, also for adults. It has so much comedy for adults in there baked in. So anyway, shout out to the Harmon brothers behind Angel Studios and the Tuttle Twins. It's just really impressive. So Utah was amazing. I had a really nice time. It's nice to be welcomed back. The cast and crew was all together in a mansion. This mansion was
in a
crazy.
mansion,
Like,
damn.
wow,
Yes.
Rachel,
Yeah.
Raquel, talk to me.
Shout out to the Tuttle Twins. Really happy to have gone out to Utah. Now, Frank, I want to tell you something mad funny, yo.
Mm,
Okay, like, I guess people Uber, Lyft, or probably drive their vehicles in Utah. This girl from New York City thinks that she could walk everywhere. So
right.
I get on the phone with Frank and we're talking for, we had one of these deep conversations. Frank, I looked at how many steps I took during our conversation.
How
You know
many?
how much I walked?
How much?
I walked 3.8 miles while on the
Damn.
phone with you. Doesn't sound like a
Coño, tú
lot.
hablas mucho.
Tú hablas mucho. Nosotros hablamos mucho. But I
Getting your
passed,
steps in.
yes, I passed Brigham Young University, which is
BYU.
a Mormon college, a very well-known college, university,
Mm-hmm.
where our guest attended.
Oh,
So
snap.
if I may segue into our guest, you guys, after hanging in the mansion, which is when this interview was booked, I tell you no lie, we're sitting there with the producer. Shout out to Jordan Curley. Shout out to everybody, cast and crew, Faith, Kelly. There's just so many to name. The writer, there's just so many names to name. But we were there at the mansion, and I was learning more about Daniel Harmon and the fact that he's done church missions to Mexico. He speaks fluent Spanish. Um,
Mm,
he made this very well-known book series into more of a multicultural series, animated, where the mom is Latina. That was
wow.
his idea. He's the
Nice.
showrunner for the Tuttle Twins, you guys. I talk
Mm.
about the show all the time. I'm always going to talk about the stuff that I learned from on this
And
podcast.
and he has multiple jacuzzis. Don't forget that's just to mention
Wow.
that.
I'm so proud of this show. I'm showing you guys just a comic book that was given out at the season one.
That's
Nice.
dope.
Um, and I at the premiere, I just got to shout out the kids. The kids came dressed as the characters, and
Damn.
one of the
Okay.
moms kind of came dressed like me, which was cool. She was like, "I
Wow.
couldn't find a green shirt, but I wanted to come dressed like you, Mrs. Tuttle." And I'm like, "Oh my God!" And I'm signing autographs, which felt
I'm
really
I'm
good.
down with Tuttle Twins cosplay. I'm down
Yo,
with that.
that's what it was.
Oh,
Yes, people came as Ethan Tuttle, one of the twins. It was really
yo.
amazing to see, like, people, Corinne, who plays like the evil little girl. It was so great. It was so great to
Wow.
see these avid fans of a show I'm super proud of. So as I was talking to Daniel and learning about how entrenched he is in our culture and how much of an ally he is to our culture, I'm like, I would love for you to talk to the LOLeros. about this because, I've been talking about the Tuttle Twins for a while, but to hear from the showrunner's perspective, I think is always interesting. And I asked him why he made it a multicultural family versus leaving what it was, which I think was a European family. I want to say German, but I could be wrong. You know what
Hmm.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, can we get into this interview, you
Yeah.
guys?
Yeah. Let's
Let's
hit
do
it.
it.
Definitely.
All right. All right, LOLeros, this is the part of the show here on Latinos Out Loud where we interview someone amazing. I say it every week and I'll say it every week going forward. I always mean what I say, people. I'm so excited to have this guest on our show because I think you guys know about him even without me introducing him because I've spoken about this project that I've been a part of and so proud to be a part of. Ladies and gentlemen, LOLeros, he is the creator, showrunner, executive producer, director, writer, president of the Tuttle Twins TV. Please put your hands together for Daniel Harmon. Yes.
Can I put my hands together too? Is that okay?
Clap for yourself, Daniel.
Okay.
Please. You deserve all of it. Hello and welcome to the Latinos Out Loud podcast. How are you today?
I'm well. Thank you for having me on, Rachel. I'm excited.
I'm so excited. So long time no see, not really. Just saw you. It's so nice to see you virtually. I had the pleasure of seeing you in Utah just last weekend. We were out there for the season 2 premiere and also season 1 celebratory dinner for the Tuttle Twins, which is an amazing project that I'm so proud and honored to be a part of. Sometimes I fluctuate between Rachel and Mrs. Tuttle voice on this podcast.
Yeah.
And it's just such a pleasure to have you on the show because now we could really talk. Usually when I see you, it's over Zoom, we're working. I'm recording voiceover work for the project, and it's also a lovely time. But now this is time to play. Let's play
Awesome.
on the microphone. So thank you so much for being here. I introduced you, and I read a bunch of titles that I see here on your bio. But I would love for you to tell the LOLeros, which are our hive, our listeners, a little bit more about those titles. What do those titles mean? What do you do for the Tuttle Twins TV show?
Awesome. Yeah. So creator, I guess, is the first title, is the one essentially having the idea for the show. I guess was one of the best ways to put it. And I'm not going to say that I've had all the ideas for the show because obviously the writers, the rest of the writers have brought a tremendous amount of ideas. Like, for example, the idea for Grandma Gabby, one of the main characters in the show, came from Johnny Vance, one of our writers. But yeah, so that's I was the one spearheading and meeting with the author of the book series, Connor Boyack, and along with my executive producer Benton Crane, and kind of spelling out the vision of what this could be, that we could make a really great show that kids would hopefully choose to watch as entertainment, and that they would be getting great lessons along the way about principles of freedom and economics, things like the rights to life, liberty, and property, and the golden rule, entrepreneurship, free trade, all those kinds of things that we're so passionate about. And I guess some of the other titles are showrunner, which means I'm overseeing the directors. I don't direct every episode. I do direct some of them, but I essentially direct the directors. So
Okay.
I'm very much, I try to let them do as much as they possibly can because I want them to bring their own personality and their own flavor to the individual episodes, and then I kind of shape it a little bit from there. I oversee all of the creative, and then executive producer just means I was kind of putting the pieces together at the beginning to make the show come together. And then I forget what some of the other titles are, but I'm a voice in a couple of things. Yeah, that's right.
And writer, you do some
Yes, and I'm in the writer's room all the time. And my writing role is much more ideas and guidance and the principles, and the other writers are much more doing the dialogue and the situational kind of stuff, and I'm much more throwing out, oh, what if we did this? What about this concept? That kind of thing, and they kind of run with that, and they bring a whole bunch of that themselves. So anyway, that's that's my role on the show, and it's been a really fun ride. And Rachel, you coming on board to the show has made it only funner. So this has been awesome.
Oh, Daniel, thank you for saying that. Well, listen, I have to shout out the writers. Every time I read these scripts, my God, the jokes make me laugh so much. There's such good writing there because, yes, we can concentrate on the principles, and you do a really great job at like elevating the subject matter throughout the episode. But the jokes, the characters, Grandma Gabby, I mean, it cracks me up, and everyone who watches the show, my personal friends, my circle, they give me the same feedback. So well done,
Oh,
so well
good.
written. The aesthetics, the colors, the situations, the Spanish, the Spanglish, the accents, even the little raccoon. Like there's just so much going on, but it's so organized and it works so well. There's a lesson learned or taught and learned within each episode. Okay, you said something that really interests me.
Okay.
This is based off of a very successful book series,
Yep.
also called The Tuttle Twins.
Yep.
I want to talk about that moment where you had that idea of taking that success and making it visual for watchers, viewers all over the world, and more importantly, for making this family multicultural. Mom is
Yeah.
Latina, Spanish is injected. Could you walk us through that process? How did
Yeah.
that idea come about, and then walk us through how you made it happen?
Yeah, you bet. So the author Connor Boyack, he and I have been friends for a long time. When he wrote the first book called The Law, I was introduced to it at a conference with him. He gave me a copy, and my wife and I have bought every copy since. We really loved it. I was like, oh man, this is what I wanted to learn about, things like principles of freedom and economics and history as a kid. And then when I read it with my kids and saw the way it resonated with them, and like we've bought all the book series. So the credit for turning it into a TV show actually doesn't go as much to me. He had that idea once he was starting to sell the tens of thousands of copies of the books and was starting to see real success with it. And then my other executive producer, Benton Crane, actually came to me, was like, I think we should be the ones to make this into a
Yes.
TV show. And I was like, oh man, really? Is that something I want to do? Because I was in advertising, right? I was a chief creative officer of an ad agency called Harmon Brothers. It's known for ads like big viral ads like Squatty Potty and Poopery and Purple Mattress and Chapbooks and all these others, Lumi deodorant.
Oh my God,
And
Squatty Potty.
yes.
That's so great. Okay,
Yeah,
we
thank
got to
you.
talk about that later more, your advertising background. This is amazing. Okay, please continue.
So I had experience in content creation, live action, and in character development and story and comedy and all those types of things through advertising. And I'd known for a while that I was wanting to make a jump to what I thought would be film or feature films. And then so I was like, oh, do I want to do a TV show and a cartoon? And it's interesting because in my background as well, in school, I was studying animation before I went into advertising.
No way.
Yeah, I did.
Wow, universe. Wow.
Yeah. So I actually applied to get into the program, the advertising program at BYU. BYU is one of the primary, I think they're one of the top tier animation schools out there. They're also one of the top tier advertising schools. And I didn't end up getting into the advertising program. It's a good thing too, because I didn't draw enough. And that's what their program all was at the time. I wasn't as much of a drawer, but or illustrator, I guess is the better term. Yeah, they would have
we understand.
no, they would have disqualified me just for saying drawer.
I'm sorry, Mr. Harmon. Next. He called us
right.
drawers.
That's right. So I ended up in advertising, and now this is coming full circle where I'm back to it. So the idea for turning the book series into an animated show was coming from Connor Boyack and Elijah Stanfield, the original authors themselves. And it was more that when we approached them, Benton and I approached my other executive producer, Benton and I approached Connor, it's that we were spelling out the vision for what it could be. Meaning we were saying, okay, we think this can be like a little bit like Marvel, where the Tuttle Twins is kind of a bigger brand than just the books, right? Where Marvel has their comic books, they have their Marvel Cinematic Universe, they have their TV shows, they have their games, they have their toys, and all of them have kind of their different flavors, but they all are, you can kind of tell that they're all part of the main whole, right? And that's what we felt like could happen with Tuttle Twins, where okay, it's really great that your books break down the principles in a way that are super understandable for not only kids but adults, but and are getting that conversation going within the families. But what if we add some sci-fi to it and some fun and adventure and more comedy and more character development, make it something kids want to watch over their choices on say Netflix, Disney Plus, YouTube, or whatever, where they'll actually choose to watch it as entertainment, and then they'll be getting the education along with it. And then to get to your other question about the Latino influence that's part of the show.
Yes.
So
Wepa.
here we go. So my background, I grew up, I think some of this starts in Idaho. I grew up on in a farming community in Idaho, and a lot of the employees on the farms were migrant workers from Mexico. So there were I grew up around a lot of Mexican influence, and I would work on some of those farms, and they would like bring me over to eat lunch with them and like try out their tacos and their spicy chilies and stuff like that, and see how much I could take. And my dad spoke Spanish and was always friends with the different migrant workers, and was very much just he always felt very at home in the Mexican community there in Idaho. And so he taught me to eat that way. And so like the spicy stuff didn't bother me, and they were all like blown away that I was like eating the peppers with them and stuff. And they were always so kind. That's right.
Órale, güey. This is amazing.
At that time, I didn't know how to speak Spanish, but later I served a mission for my church in Peru, and I was there for 2 years. And that's when I became much more integrated with the Latino community, and really got to know the culture of just giving and sharing and family, and a lot of things that really overlapped with my own family culture, right? And although I feel like they were much more giving than I was, what blew me away is I grew up very, very poor. And then I went down to Peru and everyone was poor, and it didn't matter at all. They all just shared, they were all so giving. And that just like blew my mind of like, oh, it's not just means and money that means you share. Like, it's just part of you. Like, it's a little bit of, I mean, to be honest, it's a little bit of faith that it takes of like, this is going to come back to me in some way. Or maybe it's just out of love. Maybe you don't even care if it comes back to you. You just want to bless those around you. Either way, such a cool culture. I loved the food, loved the people, loved serving them there for 2 years. And then, so when we approached the show, I actually have a brother as well, who is an executive producer on the show, Jeffrey, and he's married to a Brazilian. He actually did a foreign exchange program down in Brazil and met a girl while he was there, and they dated, and she ended up coming back to the United States.
That's how they met?
Yeah, that's how they met. Yeah. And so he's married to this Brazilian girl. And so there's all these sort of cultural influences from the Latino community that have been part of my life all the way along. And even just this last year, even just this year, my wife and I went down with our entire family. We took all of our 6 kids and went down to Mexico outside of Ensenada to an orphanage there, and stayed and helped build a fence and a new building that they were making for their littlest ones, like the 2-year-olds and lower, and just spent time with the kids and got to know them. And I'm the only one that speaks Spanish in my family. So they were all kind of lost, but it didn't matter. Like, we were just there helping out, and they were so warm and welcoming. And it was an entire week there, just living there in the orphanage, and my kids' eyes being opened up to not just different culture, but like, wow, like we have a lot where we're at compared to this, and it was such a rewarding experience. And so when it came to the story, again, this show teaches about principles of freedom. And so much of what we see as an antithesis to freedom is what comes out of communism, right? And so what felt like was a natural thing to do with the story was to have a figure in the Tuttle Twins' life that had experienced that firsthand. And so Grandma Gabby or Gabriela, we had her be a grandma that migrated from Cuba, that she lived in Cuba as a child, that she saw firsthand the horrors of communism and lack of
Right.
choices and the things that happened from that. And so when we went through the process, it was like, okay, we got to have this be really authentic as we go through it, because a lot of the writing team and stuff has experience with the Latino community or has lived in Latino countries, and but we wanted to make sure the casting also reflected that. So our voice for Grandma Gabby, she is well, it's a he's a first generation immigrant from Cuba himself, and just a
Oh, I
really
love that. I didn't
and
know he
just
was Cuban.
yes, he
Awesome.
is. And so and then when we went to cast Mom, who is half Latino, and we'll get into that, or I should say half Latina. We get into that story a little bit later, but the idea is that Grandma
Oh,
came from Cuba. She married an American, and then we wanted to make that reflected in Mrs. Tuttle, and then we found you, Rachel, which was perfect, right? And I forget.
thank you.
Remind me which country you're from. I'm sorry, I forgot.
My mother
Originally, your mother,
is from the Dominican Republic.
Dominican
Yes.
Republic. That's right. Uh-huh. And so we wanted that. We wanted that to come through. And so each time we have characters from different that are representative of the Latino community, we're doing our best to match that up with authentic voices from there. And so I've got I've got an editor, Josh, and his father's originally from Honduras, and our producer Jordan, her mother's from Puerto Rico. And so anyway, it just continues to be something that we feel like is really important, because I don't know, I love our Mexican neighbors, and I love I think we've had policies and things that have made that confusing to a lot of people. And I just don't want to add to that more in the culture of what we're creating with the art. I want it to be much more welcoming, because that's the side of it I've seen and I've experienced in my life is the good of the Latino community, and just the amazing culture of family and of sharing and of hard work and all these things that just resonate so much with me. Anyway, I'm really long-winded right now, Miss
Oh,
Rachel.
this is amazing. Please don't stop. It's really so every word you're saying. I have a few comments. I mean, thank you so much for applying such, what's the word I'm looking for? Just focusing in on details and really making this authentic, on the back end, going into casting, going into writing. Thank you so much for what you've done for our communities in Idaho and what you're doing. Well, the first thing I thought of is, I know you were doing this mission for your church, but what a mission, heading down there with 6 kids. Wow, that's a mission in and of itself. So congratulations on both missions.
We could only take it because it was just 1 week.
So that I wanted to add that, but yeah, so going into it with such, a magnifying glass, a Latino microscope to make it feel authentic with the output is tremendous. And I
thank
want to
you.
shout out some of the other cast members too, like Deidre Nell, who's an Afro-Latina Boricua from Texas, who plays Ivy. It really is diverse. And thank you for inviting us live to meet one another last year in Utah, because then you step back and you look across the room and it is Roy G. Biv. It is a representation. It's diverse, people from different walks of lives. I got to speak with some of the writers. I got to speak with your brother and his lovely wife, who is pregnant again. God bless them. Like, it's so exciting. I feel like you've invited me to be a part of the Tuttle Twins family, both on screen and in real life. And it's remarkable to be that close to a project. I don't just show up and leave. Like, I was really looking forward to Utah, to seeing all of you again and learning more about you. And now having you on the podcast is just it's sort of the cherry on the sundae. So
you.
I want to thank you. So I also want to get into like the writer's room a little bit.
Yeah.
We we interview a bunch of writers. We've had Peter Murrieta, who is the head writer on the Gabriel Iglesias, Mr. Iglesias show. We've had female Latina writers from Chucky on Sci-Fi. We've had Maria Hinojosa. I have some of the books here behind me or in front of me of some of the amazing writers that we've had on the show. There's always common denominators across these, either Latino writers or writers like yourself that are writing for the Latino community, is passion. There's always passion. And let me also say number 2, storytelling. Passion plus storytelling. And that is organic to the Latino experience. I often tell people on this podcast, like, we invite you into our living room or to in front of the bodega where each of us has this fictitious milk crate that we're sitting on, and we're just exchanging stories. And then those stories become that relatability factor that make us feel good, empowered. She's going through something similar. Oh, I have a mother just like that, a Dominican mother, just like, so let's get into the writer's room, because like I said, LOLeros, if you had the privilege of reading these scripts, I mean, you see it acted out, but when you read something and it just hits you off the page and makes you laugh so hard and inspires you, makes you proud to be Latina, that's like, I don't know, that's magical, I guess. Awesome. Is the way I can explain it. Walk us through the process. So you will talk about, let's say, the theme or the topic that you want to bring to the surface, right?
Yeah.
Law, we kicked off the pilot, right, with the law.
Yeah.
So walk us through that process. Once the theme is set, once the topic is set, what happens after that?
Yeah. You mentioned it first and foremost. It all starts with the lesson we have to teach. What are kids going to take away from this particular episode? And then the story has to flow out of that. So like I mentioned before, when teaching about the law and having a grandma that has, this crazy time traveling wheelchair that goes and takes her grandkids on these adventures in order to teach them about the principles of freedom, we felt like the story was very motivated in it being someone that had experienced firsthand what it was like to have oppression, to have her choices really restricted, and watch what that does to cultures and economies and countries as a whole when it's applied at large. And so obviously coming from the communist background in Cuba, felt very, very relatable. And then we go through this process where we kick the writers off with the lesson they're going to teach, and then they all kind of come back with different angles to tell the story from. So we'll have a day where we kind of outline the episode. So okay, what are the beats we're going to hit? It ends up being usually somewhere between, at that point, 9 and up to 16 pages long, but usually we're landing more around the dozen-page mark. And just so you know, for a 22-minute episode, which is what we're shooting for, you usually want to be around 22 pages long. It's usually about a minute per page is kind of the cadence in the film world. And so at that stage, we're just kind of outlining the major story beats. Where are they going to visit? Who are they going to visit? And then what's the lesson they're going to learn from, that they're going to pick up from their own life. So with the first episode, they're learning about the law and your rights to life, liberty, and property. And so they're watching a situation where their cul-de-sac kids club has a they have a lemonade stand where they're selling it, and then in comes the president of the cul-de-sac kids club, and she says, "I can take this away from you. This lemonade, I get it for free because I'm the president." And then she shows how it's written into law, and they're like, "What? How did that get in there?" And she's like, "I held an emergency meeting last night," and then they show her getting it voted in by a single person.
It's so great. Corinne's character, you guys. Okay, so can I talk a little bit about Corinne? I hate to interrupt you, but she's the meanie, I'm the mean girl of the cul-de-sac kids club. Uh-huh. But then we grow to like her, towards like the middle of the season. And then I don't want to give it away for everybody because there's so many stories woven in. She becomes a love interest. It's so great. It's a little kid. Like, it's so amazing how many parts of life you
Yeah.
incorporate into the show. Okay, please
Yeah, so
continue. I will put myself on mute. Sorry.
No, so speaking to that, one of our writers, Kelly, she brought that idea of the love interest, but it's specifically kind of one-sided, where she's kind of the antagonist to the Tuttle twins, and then at the same time she has a crush on Ethan. It's a little bit kind of one-way crush.
Oh God, but it's so real. Trust me,
Yes,
as a grown
yes.
woman, okay? Me and my girlfriends, we talk about this all the time. It's like, how do we have a crush on him? I don't know.
Exactly. Exactly. I don't wanna feel this way, but I do. It's weird. So
Love
that
it.
was an element that when part of the process, once we've developed that outline, is I take it back and I read it with my girls here at home with my little ones. They're part of my test audience. And we send it out and have our fans read it and get feedback from them, and they might be offended by this or that, or they might be like, this isn't coming through clearly, or like, why are they doing this? And we gather that feedback and we come back together and write the first draft. But when I saw my girls, the way they reacted to that crush from Corinne towards Ethan, Ethan Tuttle, when I saw how much they were into that, I was like, okay, we've got to incorporate this in the story.
So great. It's
Yeah.
so great. And then wait, can I just add mom? So
Mhm.
then Mrs. Tuttle is also like somewhat supportive of it, right? Like,
Yeah.
I love her reactions to everything, because I think at first she was like confused, like, wait a minute, but she figures it out. And then
Yeah.
it's like one of those things, this is adorable, you
Yeah,
know? It's,
yeah.
I love it so much. But thank you for that. The life lessons
Oh,
that
good.
Tuttle is teaching the Tuttle twins, I'm
Yeah.
starting to encounter in my own role as a mom. So it's helping me very
Awesome.
much. Thanks for the guidebook. Okay, please.
That's really good to
I
hear.
interrupted and I won't anymore. So please continue.
No, it's totally fine. So, yeah, so essentially we gather that feedback, we come back and we write a first draft. And usually what we've done at that point is we've taken the best ideas from each of the writers and sort of Frankensteined them into a better whole. And sometimes some things have to be left by the wayside, right? As writers, it's always about, killing your darlings. At any rate, we get that first draft. We do what's called a brain trust read, where we read it to a collection of other writers, directors, editors, producers, parents, and we just get the feedback and find out which jokes are working, which ones aren't, what's confusing, what's not, what's resonating, come through clearly, where is it getting a little bit dry and boring, and where do we need to pick up the pace? And then we go back and rewrite. And then we do that again. We reread it, and then we go back and rewrite it. We do that 3 or 4 times over before we get a locked script. And that's with all the revisions that we've done in the writer's room on top of that. And then when we get to what's called an animatic, so where it's just a collection of storyboards and temporary voices and sounds and things like that you're editing together to kind of see how the flow of the story is. You can see it now visually, but it's more of like, movement from up here to grab a picture to one movement down here to, put it down, that kind of thing. It's
so
not
cool. I've seen
Yeah.
these. They're so cool. Like pencil
Yeah.
drawings, and it really brings the pages to life. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's like a storybook that comes to life, but it's not yet in full video form. So that is the guide that the animation house uses. Then we go through that same process with that, where we develop that entire animatic. We put it out there in front of another group of really great storytellers and creatives, and we get feedback, and we do it again and again and again before we go back to the animation house and say, this is the final, this is what you're following for animation. And by the way, our animation house is out of Columbia.
I was going to say that.
Yep.
Another element of
That's
you
right.
being immersed in our culture. Shout out
right.
to
Shout out to
Camila.
Camila. Camila
Love
Gomez.
Camila.
Yep. Yeah, she's doing a great job of leading up that team down there. And they've just been a really great partner, and they're so excited about the show. They feel very similar to you, of like, oh, we're so proud of the work. We're so proud of the stories and the characters. And it just feels so great to us. And we're working right now to I've been doing approvals just even this week on voices for dubbing in Spanish for the show, because we've got subtitles and that's all in the works and I think almost complete, but we're going to get to the dubbing as well, which I'm really excited for that to happen, because that is our largest I guess secondary audience outside of the United States. is people that are requesting, hey, can we please get this in Spanish? This is so great.
Ay, sí, los
Dime.
niños de la República Dominicana y los otros
Sí,
países tienen que ver este programa porque es
sí.
maravilloso.
Oh,
Sí.
sí. Así es. Uh-huh. So I'm sorry, I'm going to feel stupid because I just don't speak Spanish that often. But I should be
That's
speaking
why
in Spanish more.
I know that you
Uh,
understand. It's hard. Do you listen to Latin music as well?
I
mean,
do on occasion, yeah. I
love
don't
it.
I don't admittedly I don't listen to a ton of music because so much of my thinking is strategic
Mm.
and writing based. And when I'm listening to music, I get sucked so much into music that I can't have it going in the background unless it's a little bit more like I listen to a lot of classical and stuff that just can
Oh.
kind of be there. But if it's got lyrics or if it's like connected to a certain movie, my mind just like I have too much ADHD, I think, or just my mind goes to that, and I have to I have to have a lot more silence with me when I'm having to work, and so I don't listen to a ton of music.
I guess could you come back?
I could totally come back. Yeah, you
When
bet.
maybe for season 3, we
Yeah,
could have you back to talk a
yeah,
little bit
that'd be
more about
amazing.
the
Yeah,
evolution of the Tuttle Twins. Listen, please
me
tell
encantaría.
everyone. Oh my God, qué honor. Please tell everyone where they could catch the Tuttle Twins and where they can follow you and your work.
You bet. TuttleTwins.tv, Tuttle, twins.tv is where you can go find the show. It's also, if you download the Angel app, our distributor is Angel Studios. They're known for the hit show The Chosen about the life of Christ. If you download the Angel app, you can watch the entire show for free. It's also available for free on YouTube. So that's there. And then as far as looking me up goes, gosh, I am most active at this point probably on LinkedIn. So you can search Daniel Harmon and Tuttle Twins on LinkedIn. That's probably where you'll find me.
Hey, you may get some LOLeros looking for a job, okay? So, hey guys, tell them Latinos Out Loud sent you. Oh, and I need to shout out Angel Studios real quick. During my stay in Provo in Utah, I went to Dry Bar and I saw a comedy show. It was so much fun because I'm a comedian here in New York.
Yeah.
I perform sketch
Yep.
comedy. I have a bunch of stand-up comedy friends. And my brother was like, oh, you're going to be in Provo. You got to go see Dry Bar. They have a show streaming on Peacock. And I was like, word? So I bought my ticket, went to the show, witnessed an amazing TV production because I nerd out about that, as I'm growing with my own comedy and trying to figure out the conduits for it. And then I see these comedians on stage, no cursing, guys, none of that raunchy stuff, just what they call dry, I guess, the dry bar, dry comedy, but hilarious to the point my cheeks hurt so much from laughing. Amazing comedians that I'm now following on Instagram. So into it. So I want to shout out Angel Studios for being behind Dry Bar comedy as well. Holy moly.
They're on season 11 right now, I think. It's crazy.
That is crazy. Congratulations, your family. You guys are geniuses. Thank you so much for what you do for the community. And one time for Daniel Harmon and the Tuttle Twins. Thank you so much,
Thank you,
Daniel.
Rachel. Appreciate it.
Oh, this was amazing, you guys.
Okay, Rachel, this is interesting. This guy is an interesting fellow.
Yes, a very interesting fellow, right? Shout out to
Mhm.
Daniel Harmon, who was really fun to talk to, really fun to get to know and his process.
Right.
And, shout out to the production. It's
The
very
Tuttle
interesting.
Twins.
Yeah.
My favorite group of twins after Mary Kate and Ashley.
How did I know you were gonna say Mary Kate and Ashley?
Also the Yin Yang Twins.
Oh,
The
good
yin
one.
yang.
Good one. That's a good one.
The
Yeah,
Yin Yangs,
yeah, yeah, right. Oh no, it's Little John. But weren't they like Lil Johnish in their music?
They were. They had the shush songs. They had the whisper song where they were
Oh,
just like,
that's them. Great
So-
song. Really great song. I was singing that in the clubs for sure. Yep.
I don't think the same intended audience as the Tuttle Twins though.
Definitely, yeah. Two
Oh,
different
no.
audiences.
Completely
Oh.
different audiences. I think in
Yes.
Utah they would get banned for that.
Yeah. But, wow. Okay. So, yep. Shout out to the Tuttle Twins. Amazing. Check it out. Tuttle Twins TV on YouTube, also on the VidAngel app. And hopefully there'll be more. I mean, we're already talking season 3. I'm really
Wow.
excited.
About to
Yo.
go
Wow.
into syndication or something.
Holy
Syndication?
smokes.
Syndication.
Yo, but like I love like Daniel was like told me a little bit about what's gonna happen to Mrs. Tuttle in season 3, and it's so smart. It's so fun.
God, can't wait, son.
I can't wait either. Thank you guys, and make sure to follow us at We Are Latinos Out Loud across the socials and Latinos Out Loud _ on Twitter. Okay. Do we even want to promote Twitter? Are we still with Twitter? It's a new Twitter.
You gotta pay
yeah.
$20 now if you got the little blue thing. I heard.
Well, you want the blue thing, but I didn't
Yantre.
have it anyway, so I don't have to pay.
Okay,
Wow.
So the people that want to keep it,
you good.
but the people that were like didn't have it, it's like, all right, I'm still not gonna pay. I'm paying for
Wow.
too many. I got too many services I pay for. I'm not trying to pay for freaking Twitter.
Man, freaking
Seriously.
Elon, man. He's gonna cake it now.
It's a new
Jeez.
day. It's a new Twitter day.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so follow us there. If not, leave us a review. Give us a call. 978
Yeah.
Latinos. No big whoop. All right. Thank you so much for checking out another episode of LOL. And on that note, we are out.
Brah!